meeting of the Bucksport Town Council for Thursday, April 23rd, 2020. Roll call, Sue.
Jim Morrison,
Yes.
Mark Eastman,
Here.
Peter Stewart,
Here.
Dan Ormsby,
Here.
Ed Rankin,
Here.
Paul Bissonnette,
Here.
Kathy Downs.
Here.
At this time, I'd like to offer a moment of silence for our former town assessor, Jeff Fitzgerald. Unfortunately, Jeff passed away recently. If we could all take a moment of silence, please. Thank you very much. Item 4 is consider minutes of previous meetings. We have town council minutes from 4/20/2020.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion from Mark and a second from Dan. Sue, we take the roll.
Dan Ormsby,
Approved.
Ed Rankin. Your mic's off.
Approve.
Thank you. Jim Morrison,
Approve.
Kathy Downs,
Approve.
Mark Eastman,
Approve.
Paul Bissonnette,
Approve.
Peter Stewart.
Approve. Item 5 is receive and review any correspondence. Do you want to read that email now, Sue, during this time that you got?
The one that, well, he had asked that it be done under the public, information from the public not included on the agenda portion of the meeting.
Yeah, sounds good. That'll work. That'll work. Yep. Thank you. We don't have any others?
No.
Item 6 is orders to consider introduce. Item A is emergency ordinance to amend Appendix B, council rules pursuant to Town Charter, Article 2, Section 2.14 to eliminate committee meetings during the COVID-19 state of emergency.
Councilor Eastman had made this suggestion for committees that were totally membership by councilors, not committees that included other members of the public, which could set up alternative meetings. But the ones stated in the emergency order are services, infrastructure, finance, and regulatory review, because all of those have memberships made up entirely of council members, so that discussions of items that would have occurred at a committee meeting would automatically include, with all the council present, all of those members in order to do that.
And any discussion? Mark, your introduction of it, go ahead.
No, I mean, I just think it will help us move things along faster. I mean, for all at the committee meetings, there's no point in having to go through that process at this time when we can, continue to do the business that we need to do, but expedite it. That's all.
Kathy, you're next on my list, I see. Do you have anything?
No, I totally agree with what Mark has to say.
Paul?
No issues here. Yep.
Danny?
I'm good with it.
Jim?
It's fine.
Ed?
I have no issues with it.
And this would be in effect through the governor's state of emergency. Is that how it's set up? Is that the way I read it?
Yes, it would expire at the end of the state of emergency.
Which at this time is May 15th, correct?
That's correct. I had hoped that we would have more information on what the state's plan is by today in order to better understand what this means for us locally, but we don't have that.
So does this go to a first reading?
In an emergency ordinance, it's not done in a series of, it's done as an emergency measure.
As a temporary measure, just to supersede what we already have, correct?
Only during the emergency that's identified in the declaration of emergency and in the enacting clause of the proposed ordinance, and the council has to agree that both of those things are valid in order to have an emergency ordinance that doesn't go through the regular ordinance first, second, third, kind of process.
So we just need a motion, is that the case?
Excuse me. I find that to read differently in the charter. That's not how the charter reads.
How do you feel it reads, Jim?
Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
In an emergency, we're to conduct business in the same manner as we do under regular council actions. It's clearly stated in the wording of the charter.
And what are we trying to do here? I guess that's my question.
Can you hold on just one second till I get a copy of that? Hold on.
Section 214, emergency ordinances. Number 1.
Well, Jim, why don't we wait for Sue to get back here? She's not even here.
Okay, fine.
Sorry, I had to turn my computer back on. The language that Jim's referring to says to meet a public emergency affecting life, health, property, or the public peace, the council may adopt one or more emergency ordinances, but such ordinances may not levy taxes, grant, renew, or extend a franchise, or authorize the borrowing of money otherwise provided in the charter. An emergency order shall be introduced in the form and manner prescribed for ordinances generally, which this one is, except that it shall be plainly designated an emergency ordinance and shall contain, after the enacting clause, a declaration stating that an emergency exists and describing it in clear and specific terms. After its adoption, the ordinance shall be published and printed as prescribed for other adopted ordinances. It shall become effective upon adoption or at such later time as it may specify. An emergency ordinance may also be repealed by adoption of a repealing ordinance in the same manner specified in this section for adoption of emergency ordinances. My interpretation that this could occur this way is because otherwise the language is moot. If an emergency ordinance follows the same process as a regular ordinance, it's not an emergency ordinance. There's nothing different in the functionality of what it does. I'm not trying to argue. And if this had been raised earlier, it would have been, easier to get a legal opinion on what this was, but I was not aware that it was in contention.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, if you'll excuse me, I see the sentence that says after its adoption, the ordinance shall be published and printed as prescribed for other adopted ordinances. I'm not seeing where it's.
What ordinance are we looking to change, Mark?
Oh, it's in the section, Peter. It's an ordinance just for this manner. And I agree with Sue. I mean, you can't, if it's an emergency, why would you be enacting it in the same way that you'd enact a typical ordinance? That doesn't make a lot of sense.
This is to amend council rules to have committee meetings that are entirely composed of the council. The requirement for those waived during this state of emergency so that discussions that involve committee subjects happen at the entire council instead of in subcommittee of the council ahead of time.
That answers the question that I was struggling to ask a moment ago. Thank you.
Does that answer your question, Jim, or you want to go further?
As long as we think we're following the charter, then I guess we're fine.
Jim, you could bring these things forward before the meeting if you thought there was a problem and get clarification.
Well, this is the form to talk about it. So,
yeah.
I brought this forward because the entire council is here to think.
any other comments or questions, Mark?
Jim, can you repeat your last statement? I didn't hear it. There was some background noise.
I brought this forward now because the entire council is here to make discussion on it. It's not up to me to decide what we do. It's up to the council as a whole.
Mark, any other discussion on this?
Nope, I don't have any. We can.
Kathy?
I don't have any questions.
Paul?
Nope.
Danny?
No.
Ed?
No, I'm all set.
Jim, are you satisfied?
I have nothing further.
Entertain a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Oh, we had a motion and a second anyway, so Sue, if you want to take the roll.
Kathy?
Approve.
Mark?
Approve.
Paul Bissonnette? I'm sorry, that's a little casual. Paul Bissonnette?
Approve.
Dan Ormsby?
Approve.
Jim Morrison,
Approve.
Ed Rankin.
Approve.
Thank you.
Peter Stewart will approve also.
Oh, thank you. You're not on my list.
Yeah, thanks. The next item on the agenda is the first reading to Amendment B, council rules to require posting the town website of emails of town council and the town manager on a weekly basis. I assume this is a new ordinance, correct? Or is that what we want to make this?
This is an addition to council rules.
Okay.
That adds a responsibility for that, and this was a request of Councilor Eastman, if he wants to explain it.
I just feel we've had a lot of conversations about transparency, and putting these out there for the public to see is an effort to be as transparent as possible.
Kathy? Any comments?
No, I'm all set.
Paul?
No, all good. Thank you.
Danny?
I'm good with that. I like that idea.
Jim?
I'm fine with it.
Ed?
I'm good with it.
All right, so we will have a first reading. Does anybody need me to read the actual? I will, since we have it here. It says adding section 46, manager town council email correspondence. In an effort to provide transparency for the public, all email correspondence, with the exception of legal matters that are considered confidential information between the town manager and town council, shall be posted weekly on the town of Bucksport website. Is there anybody that has any concerns with that language?
Nope.
No.
We will bring it for the next meeting will be second reading and public hearing.
That's correct.
The next item is item 7, discussion items. First item is pool information update.
Thus far, we have 9 requests for the bid packets for the pool from contractors and pool people. And I just noticed I just got another email request where we're providing the bid packets and drawings electronically. And so they go out very quickly. So it will be, we thus far have 10 bidders and 10 people that have requested bid packets. The bids are due in on the 29th of April. And I'm requesting that the council hold a special council meeting on the 30th of April in order to award the bids for this so that this can get underway as soon as possible. There was a 60-day kind of window for construction, and the sooner it's awarded, the sooner the repairs can get underway. So if people don't object to a meeting on the 30th for consideration of these bids, if that's okay with everyone.
Yeah, what we'll do is we get to that item, we'll add that along with the road RFP that you guys talked about in your committee meeting, if that'll work. We'll take that up when we get down there.
Okay, and former Mayor Keene has indicated that he's willing to help look over these packages as they come in. He's been very involved in he was the chair of the pool committee. He's been very involved in all of this. I mean, obviously everyone will have a chance to see them, but he also would be willing to volunteer to assist in this review process if you don't mind if we include him as the chair of this committee.
He can certainly be there, but it will be a council decision.
Mm-hmm.
So, is there anybody that has any questions or comments? Again, this is just to update information, and we'll have a meeting next week to look at everything. Sir Bill, okay. I'm going to go with head nods for this one. Okay, thanks. The next item is Infrastructure Committee update. I don't know who the chair of that was.
I
Ed?
am.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, we just went through, we have a few questions for Jay, but ultimately we approved to get the bid on Jay's original plan for year one to capitalize on the low price of oil, and we'll get more pavement for the money. So that's where we're at. We're going to get the bid out there for that year one.
Interesting discussion. When I watched it I was about 5 minutes late, so I didn't want to jump in on the middle of your meeting. I did go to the DOT site and looked at the striping, because I know that was one of the things I raised. Part of the other thing with striping is there are DOT rules and state of Maine legislative rules that allow where passing is. There's nothing that precludes you from putting double lines on all these roads. And I don't know if you've heard it at all, but those are actually a guide. The law is passing based on the area, not on the line. If it's on a corner, if it's at an intersection, if it's over a hill or something like that, those lines are there as a guide based on those laws. But if we were wanted to look at it, we are certainly well within our regulations to at least put a double line on these roads, and we could put partial double lines in certain places if we wanted to, where we saw if we looked at it and determined that there were blacker places that, on corners and hills. I know going out Peabog Road, there are some of those corners and hills that are pretty black and dark if they get there. So I think we're well within the guidelines if we wanted to look at it to not stripe every place. The road could be as narrow as 16 feet according to those. So I think it's something that we can look at in different places if we think that we need to stripe some places. I can't remember who said it, Jim or Jay or somebody. We certainly can't just put the lines on the outside without a line in the middle. The middle line is the one that has to be there to start with, and then we can go from there. So something to think about. But it was a good discussion, and I think with the prices where they're at, I think we can get some good stuff done. So thank you.
Peter, I think it's good too that if we can capitalize on the pavement being so low, other projects like that we can work in year 2, 3, or however we want to do it. But
yep,
I think that's a good road to look at too.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think we're in a good position. So I know everybody else was there on the council. Does anybody else have anything they want to add? Nope. All right, thank you. The next item is the American Cruise Lines email.
You have a copy of a letter from Eric DeSalle, the Senior Manager of Marine Operations from American Cruise Lines, talking about their plans. Bucksport is not a designation for American Cruise Lines where they go if the weather's bad or if other places don't want them. The unknown right now, Councillor Morrison had provided some feedback on his thoughts when this email came out. It's on here to find out the council's thoughts on what your take is on the council's policy towards cruise ships, given the current unknown status of what life moving forward is going to look like. Again, it's very difficult because the current shelter in place ends at the end of next week, but there's nothing been released about what's coming next. So it's on here for discussion, whether the council wants to consider issuing a "we're not accepting cruise ships right now" kind of letter, and we'll revisit it at some point in the future, or whether you want to wait and see or take no action at all. But it's on here for discussion and then would need to be on some other agenda for action.
Mark, I'll just go around the room.
Yeah,
and start
I
with
mean, I would have a hard time welcoming them short of a vaccine or something, because I don't know that we need to act on it, because I don't know how many people are going to get on a cruise ship this day, this summer. But I would have some hesitancy to allow them in without a vaccine.
Kathy.
I have the same issue. I'm not sure we want to open that up right at the moment till we know further what's going on and how the state is handling other things. So I'd be very hesitant also.
All right. Paul?
I agree. I guess the only thing I'd add, not to muddy the waters at all, but if they were to ask to come to Bucksport, as if there was a cruise and there was a storm and they asked to dock in Bucksport for safe harbor and not get off the boat, I guess I wouldn't. Maybe that's worthy of a discussion. But other than that, I'm with what the other two councillors who've already spoken have suggested. I agree.
Danny?
Honestly, as long as they're following CDC guidelines and we're keeping up with the things that we need to do, I don't have a problem with it. I don't see a vaccine coming down the road for a while from what we're saying, what we're talking about. So are we going to shut down all, everything that we're doing because of that? That far down the road, figuring out what's going to happen with that. So I think that we need to, as long as they're following the guidelines that they're given and we're following the guidelines that we're given, if that means they can't come in, then that means they can't come in. But if that means that they can, then, and because they're doing what they're supposed to, then I agree with that. I don't think we should hinder it if we don't have to.
Jim?
I agree. We're not in a position to really make a decision one way or the other at this point. We know 100 things about this COVID-19, and we know absolutely nothing about it at the same time. And as far as making a decision as to whether or not we want people from away to pull into our port and utilize our facilities here or what we have, I think right now we're not in a position to make that decision.
Thanks. Ed?
Yeah, right now I think it's more of a do nothing at the moment. Let's play it out and see what the CDC says, see what the state and federal say, and go from there. That's it.
We just lost the mayor.
Apparently he didn't like my comment.
That was an exit strategy. Yeah.
Oh, look,
There
there
he is.
Don't know what happened. I pushed the button and I disappeared. Sorry about that.
We just wanted to make a grand entrance.
Yeah, thank you. Did I miss what you said, Ed? I apologize.
I don't know if you did or not. All I said is right now it's just basically I believe we just do nothing and wait to get recommendations from state, federal, CDC.
That's where I would be right now. Nobody's coming in anyway. Cruises aren't allowed, and I know with the ship, there are going to be guidelines that we're going to have to follow. We can't, in my opinion, close the borders all the way around and not allow things that everybody, that is allowable, as long as, and Danny said it just right, as long as folks are doing what they're supposed to do. I don't see that being an issue in the next 2 weeks anyway. And once we get some more guidance and we go that way, we follow it. I do think that if I think Paul said it, if we are requested as a safe harbor, tying up to the dock is absolutely the right thing to do. And I would then defer to our harbor master and let him run the show. So does that help with everybody's discussion, I hope? And then we'll
Yes.
I think we can table it, Sue, until we get some more guidance, especially from the state and other folks, and see where we're at. I think we've got a feel for what folks want to do.
Okay.
Thanks. Next item is Route 46 contract discussion. Everybody should have a request. I believe this is a request to extend the contract. Is that correct, Sue?
Last year, when the council awarded the contract, you were changing contractors for the first time in a number of years, and so you went with a one-year contract to see if they performed well enough to have an extension or have a subsequent contract for more than 1 year, which is what you did with the prior contract. And so that's what this is. It's a request for a 3-year contract. The changes that are proposed relate to an equal division of the payments over 6 months instead of it was like 20%, 16. It was a very convoluted payment arrangement, and instead this one proposes to divide it up. But it also includes a request for a 4% adjustment annually in this contract. And prior to preparing anything for a resolve or an agenda item, I was looking for feedback from the council as to whether those proposed changes were acceptable or not.
I'll go around the room. I'll go in reverse order this time. Ed?
Yeah, I have no problem with those changes. It's a pretty standard way of doing a road contract.
Were you happy with Route 46 this year?
Yeah, they did a good job. It's a difficult road regardless.
Yep.
It's windy, doesn't have great shoulders, but they did a good job.
Jim?
Yes, I'm fine with it.
Danny?
I'm fine with it.
Paul?
I'm fine with it as well.
Kathy?
I'm good with it also.
Mark?
I'm good as well.
Yeah, for somebody that lives out on 46 and travels it several times a day, it is a difficult road to maintain. But for the most part, it was done to good satisfaction. So I think, Sue, by the sounds of it, unless nobody has any issues, we can bring it forward at our next regularly scheduled meeting.
On the May 7th meeting, a resolve. Okay.
On the May 7th meeting, and then we have more discussion if anybody has anything else they want to bring during the resolve time.
Okay, thank you.
I like town performance evaluation form distribution. Go ahead.
I was going to say, in the packet, there's a form to use for evaluation. The past practice has been that councilors complete these and email them to the mayor, and that these are confidential. The mayor gets them. I don't get them. The mayor gets them. And then there's a discussion at the next council meeting, would be on the 7th, about what's in it and what the council's wishes are in regard to it. It also is available for, not this particular form, but residents and employees of the town are also invited to email the mayor with any comments that they may have, which are, again, are not shared. They're not shared with me. They're just shared with the mayor. And then there is in the past been a discussion between the mayor and the manager, and then a general discussion with the entire council.
And those would also not be subject to FOIA requests.
No,
also.
They are not FOIA.
From anybody or just from councilors?
But the comments from
we get a comment from
the councilors could all see comments from anybody.
Right.
But it's a personnel issue, and you're my bosses, so you
right.
can all see everything.
Right.
that anybody sends in, be it
Right.
employees or residents, anybody who has something they want to share with you, that gets distributed. The council all can see those. I don't get to see them. Employees need to feel like they could tell you something without me knowing about that or knowing who said or any of that kind of stuff. So,
Yep. And then we will plan on having
and the same is true for residents who
Correct.
may want to say something and not want it that is anonymous in terms of.
And then that evaluation will be executive session on the 7th, correct?
That's generally how it's handled. I mean, I have no objection if it's handled in open session. Traditionally, it's been handled in executive session.
Okay, we can make that determination that night. Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody have any comments? Does everybody have the form? Is everybody okay getting the form to me before, let's say May 1st? That gives us a week and a half.
Yep.
Okay.
No problem.
That would be great. And if you want, if you can't email it, or if you want to just handwrite it out and leave it in an envelope, you can drop it off at my office, and I can get it there when I go sign stuff. So, thank you. All right. Item 8 is agenda items. 47. Ratify actions taken at the 4-2 board proposal and acceptance of a donation from Andrew and Shelby Silvernail. How the council?
Second.
We have a motion from Mark and a second from Kathy. Was there anything from the public on this, Sue, that you got?
Hold on. I have no phone calls and I have no emails in regard to.
All right.
Oh, wait a minute. That's discussion items not on the agenda. That's not the thing. No, that's not related to this one, but it's for the public input session I have. Item. This resolve is to correct my error at the last meeting in not preparing one. And I apologize to the council and to correct that for our record.
Mark, anything?
Nope, nothing bad.
Kathy?
I'm good.
Paul?
Nothing.
Jim?
Nothing.
Ed?
I'm good.
Dan?
I'm good.
All right, hearing nothing and having nothing. Did any of the councilors get an email on any of this or anything that didn't go to Sue?
No.
Any other comments or anything?
No.
All right, so you want to take a roll call on this, please?
Kathy?
Approve.
I'm sorry, Kathy Downs. Mark Eastman?
Approve.
Paul Bissonnette?
Approve.
Dan Ormsby?
Approve.
Ed Rankin?
Approve.
Jim Morrison?
Approve.
Peter Stewart?
Approve. The next item is to approve Resolve 2020-48 to accept forfeited assets in the amount of $2,522. The resolve will put the money into the police forfeiture fund. This is from a case that involved the Bucksport Police Department. We've done this they've had forfeited funds in the past that goes into this and buys equipment and other things that they need. Is there anything else that, Sue, I need to add to that?
No, this was provided to me by Public Safety Director Gagan in order to allow the town to receive these funds.
Ed, any questions?
No, I have no questions.
Jim?
No.
Danny?
No.
Paul?
None.
Kathy?
All set, thanks.
Mark?
No questions.
And any concern, no concerns, I see no concerns or questions. It's been, I think we get one of these or two of these a year, Sue, usually.
I think we got one last year.
I think we bought some radios or something with it, maybe, or helped out. Yeah. All right, hearing nothing else, Sue, you want to take a roll call?
Kathy Downs,
Approve.
Mark Eastman,
Approve.
Paul Bissonnette,
Sorry about that. Approved.
Deanne Ormsby,
Approve.
Jim Morrison. Your mic is
There you go.
Did we have a motion on this? I'm sorry, I may have drifted here.
No, I don't think we did.
Oh, I thought I did that before I took the comments.
I don't.
Well, then I apologize. Could I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion from Paul and a second from Danny. Now, are there any comments? I'll go back around again.
Kathy Downs,
Approve.
Mark Eastman,
Approve.
Paul Bissonnette,
Approve.
Dan Ormsby,
Approve.
Jim Morrison,
Approve.
Ed Rankin,
Approve.
Peter Stewart.
Approve. This is easier said than done out here, guys. So.
I missed it. Sorry.
Item C is to approve Resolve 2020-49 to approve acceptance of the MDOT Municipal Partnership Grant for the retaining wall replacement.
Can you hold on 1 second? Well, I was going to add Rich Rotella to our meeting for this discussion since he's done the legwork on this project. If there's no objections.
None.
Okay. I've sent him an invitation.
It's going to be scary when his face pops up, so be ready.
And Rich also just sent me an update to the CDC guidelines on cruise ships, which I will forward to you, all of you, when we get after this meeting.
Thank you.
Well, I sent him an invitation.
Does anybody have any questions for Rich when he gets on here? I can kind of point him in the right direction.
Is this grant occurring in 2020 or 2021? That's my only question.
2021.
That's what I thought. I just didn't want to assume. Thank you.
He says he's trying to get on, but
Hey there, I'm on the phone if you guys can hear me.
Hi, Rich.
We can hear you.
Hi there. Sorry, yeah, I can't. I need some upgrades to my computer or something for it to work. It won't allow it.
I'm disappointed, Rich. I wanted to see your smiling face.
Oh, sorry, y'all.
So you want to explain the grant to us, please?
Yes. So, as you know, we met with the DOT in regards to deteriorating walls located on Main Street and throughout the town. And when, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
keep going.
Okay. So when we met, originally the thought was that the money would be available in 2021. The DOT was looking around. At the time, the grant was a 50-50 match. But the DOT was confident that the grant money would potentially change more into our favor, where it would be at 40 for the town, 60 for DOT, or possibly even 30-70. I then gotten a call at the beginning of the year saying that there was actually monies left over for 2020, and that they would bump our request to see if we could get bumped up to this year. Unfortunately, COVID happened, and I don't know what happened there, but we did get approved, but the funds are not available to 2021, and the match actually did not change. It stayed at 50-50.
Okay. And the amount of the grant?
The amount of the grant is, I believe it is $550,000, so that would mean it would be $275, which is obviously over our $249.9.
Yep.
But again, I put that in assuming at a worst case scenario that we would get 60%. So we're at 50%. If the bid comes in under, we'll be all set, or I can straight go out to the DOT and see if they would modify the bid papers so that it was 249 times 2 for 498.
I'll go back around the room again, see if there's any questions. I've got one or two. Mark?
No, I don't. No, I don't have any questions. No.
Kathy?
No, I don't have any questions.
Paul?
No, I don't have any questions.
Danny?
No.
Jim?
Will the change in the amount
Rich?
change the scope of the job?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was that question?
Well, you were talking to somebody else, I think, so.
My question was, will the change in the amount, if we go with 249, will that change the scope of the work that we can do, or?
Yeah, I think that would be one, most likely that small wall in front of the stubborn tile glass would potentially have to be excluded. Potentially.
Oh, thank you.
This was taking, yeah, you're welcome. This was taking from the construction engineer person estimated cost. So I sent all that to DOT.
Anything else, Jim, there?
No.
Ed?
No, I have no questions until he, finds out more details and later.
I guess the only question I have, if the grant is for 575, and I realize we've talked about this for several times, and we're not going to get the money until next year, is there a reason not to put this out to the town folks to see if we can get the full amount of the 275 as a true indication if that's what the folks want to do? I mean, we're skating the edges at the 249 level, and yes, we can do that, and I know we've talked about it. But if we truly want to do the whole project and we can't get it done and we need to do the whole project, why not just put the thing out there and see if we can get the whole thing that we were asking for? And I defer to, I'll ask Sue the first question. Is that?
I would have to check on what the deadline for acceptance before these funds go to others is. If the deadline for acceptance is prior to November of 2020, then if you waited to put it out, you would have to reapply for another year because
Sure.
it wouldn't be, these funds wouldn't be available. I don't know that. Rich, is that something, do you know what the deadline is for acceptance?
I will pull up the application right now.
And while you're checking, I just want to comment on Danny's new TV star.
He always makes an entrance. I think he did the last time too. And he's stubborn.
So what I have found is to ensure that construction shall commence within 18 months and shall be certified complete within 36 months of execution of this agreement. I do not see on here where there's an execution date.
Is that something you can check into, Rich, just to give us a sort of a up down on that so we can have it maybe for May 7th?
Yes, I can.
That I would just, if we could, we've had, like I said, we've had several hearings, but if the price is going to be more to get it all done, I think we all are under the understanding we should get it all done. And if we've got the opportunity to get a grant, I don't want to speak for the voters of the town, but I don't think that we would have. We would be remiss, I think, if we didn't at least put that out there to ask, and then we could have a lot more better buy-in all the way across.
Yeah, as long as Mr. Mayor, as long as there's no conflict in dates, I think that you're right. That does feel better. It feels like we're playing a numbers game the other way. I'm just saying if we can do it that way and it doesn't impact any deadlines and we don't have to play a numbers game, then fine. If that's what we have to do in order to meet a deadline, then we can certainly talk about it. But yeah, I'm in agreement if Rich can find out that for sure, and then we can decide on the 7th or even on the 30th if we had to. But
yeah. Is everybody okay with pushing this off to our next meeting until we get those final answers? Is there anybody that has any comments or concerns or questions on what I raised or talked?
Mine was the same as you, Peter. That's why I was like, not right now, because I wanted to hear more of the discussion about, where the grant was going. But I agree with you completely.
Okay, so can we push this, Sue, until we get the answer from Rich? And Rich will work on that?
It will certainly be available by the 7th.
Okay.
For your regular meeting.
Okay, I appreciate it. Is everybody okay with that? Hearing nothing else, we'll push this.
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Item 9 is resignations, appointments, assignments, and elections. I don't believe we have anything. Item 10 is approval of quick claims, discharges, and deeds. We do not have any. Item 11 is department head and town manager report. There were several department head reports. Hope everybody had a chance to read those. Sue, I assume you have a manager's report?
I do, and I had posted it on Google Docs, your Google Drive, late this afternoon. But I do have a manager's report, and just find it. Thus far, the Pay It Forward program has awarded 62 business grants, 55 food gift cards, distributed funds to home and Bucksport community concerns, and the meal delivery program delivered 115 meals on Friday, April 17th, and 107 on Wednesday, April 22nd. We have received and deposited the Silver Nail generous donation, and we have received many calls thanking the town for taking these actions. A freelance writer for the Maine Municipal Association publication, The Maine Townsman, interviewed me on Tuesday about our program because she's doing an article on what communities are doing to help their residents and small businesses. I also received a call from Senator Angus King on Monday congratulating the town for being out front in developing programs to help residents, businesses, the food pantries, and seniors. And I want to give special thanks to Rich Rotella for all of his work on the business grant program and outreach to our local businesses, as well as to the staff of the senior center making the meals and the volunteers taking the orders and doing delivery. That is a huge project. Some information on revenue impacts, and I've also included on the manager's work copy on a Google Drive, but at the present time, the town of Bucksport has not seen a significant decline in property tax collections compared to last year, even though the tax due date was extended to the end of April. We are not there yet. The same is true of sewer billing payments. And in addition, although the requirement to re-register vehicles for those that would have expired in March or April has been extended to 30 days after the end of the state of emergency, which is currently May 15th, so the registration deadline would be June 15th. Our excise tax collection is not far behind where it was last year at this time, and that revenue is not lost. It will be collected before fiscal year end. A spreadsheet is attached to the report that shows the amounts budgeted and the amounts collected to date. Sewer billing entirely supports the sewer treatment plant, and motor vehicle excise and property taxes are the two largest items that support municipal operations. But another interesting thing to note is that during this period of not doing public facing, we have had a significant number of calls from people who have recently purchased new vehicles during this current shutdown, which is interesting. As far as planning, I had hoped that by the time of this meeting we'd have more information from the state on the plan for reopening the state, whether or not the stay-at-home order is continuing, and if so, for how long, what the state's plans are related to school funding, etc. But as of today, that has not been released. The 4 steps needed to reopen the state were outlined in a press release, but there is no information to how that relates to things such as holding mass gatherings, etc. I am meeting with School Superintendent Jim Boothby early next week to discuss school and town budgets. He is facing the same difficulty that I am, and that without some clearer definition from the state of funding for schools, revenue sharing, and what the schedule for reopening is, it is difficult to build a realistic budget. At this point, he is working on an extension of his existing budget. And finally, another attachment to my report is a letter from Dick Campbell about the conversion of the 4-point loop. Remember that? The 4-point loop in July to a stay-in-your-car phone video app event that will still draw large numbers of people to Bucksport. I have not seen details of how the stay-in-your-cars would be enforced, and with no knowledge of what the state is going to do in regard to such events for the summer, and whether the promised fireworks, etc., would also be an in-vehicle promoted event. There is the possibility of significant public safety issues depending on the number of vehicles and people who arrive in this community for such an event. As I said earlier, this current shutdown is scheduled to end by April 30th, so there has to be more information by the next time we meet in order to better understand what all of these moving pieces mean and whether this 4-point loop is even going to be allowed to occur in any fashion. So you have information from Mr. Campbell in your report as well. And the final thing that I have is I had the rules that we've used for gift card distribution were that people had to be residents of Bucksport as of March 1st. They had to have been employed at the time that this state of emergency was declared. They had to have been laid off or had their hours reduced by more than 25%. And we've followed that, and I've verified all the information that's come in on all of our applications. We have an application that has come in from someone who was not working prior to this, but was scheduled to work at a seasonal job in Bar Harbor, and that hotel isn't opening. And the question is whether or not that fits the criteria of what you're looking at here, or we want to stick with so thus far I have not veered from the employed, resident, laid off, reduced hours issue, and I'm looking for feedback from counselors as to what you think of that circumstance and whether that should be considered.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, just a couple of clarifying questions on that, Sue. So is there documentation that shows that that person had a job offer to begin?
Yeah, it's a recurring job. They
Okay.
do it in the summers, but they don't work prior to that.
Okay. So as of, let's just say March 1st, and the day may vary a little bit, but as of March 1st, they had a job offer. They were preparing to go to work. As a result of the state of emergency or the stay-at-home order, they're not able to work. I just want to make sure
They're not able to return to. They're not able to go to the job that they were supposed to. Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
I am going to put full faith and confidence in the folks that are running the program, Sue and Rich, that if nothing else, common sense and goodwill can rule, and that folks are doing this for the right reasons. And I don't think we have folks taking advantage of us, and I'm hoping that we don't during these times. And if somebody is asked for need, then I'm gonna assume that they actually do have a need and they're gonna need it. And I would defer that. I would think that we would go ahead and accept that.
I would agree.
I did validate that there was a job there. I mean, as I have with all applications, that there was real work associated with this prior to, but this was just different. And
folks have to live with their choices that they make when they ask for something, and then the 125 food card is going to force folks to make decisions that they weren't going to make anyway. I guess I don't want to be the arbiter of that. I'm going to lean towards the folks who are doing it for the reasons they have to, and look out for the good part of it and why we're doing this.
I agree with that as well. I think you guys can very capable of figuring that out and looking through that stuff and figuring it out. Thank you.
I would say that if the card is available and the people are in there saying that they need it, and you have looked at the situation and I'm reading that you think it's okay to give them the card, I don't think that we should stand in the way of that. And I think that if we run out of cards before we get to all the people, I would suggest that we look for some more.
We're not in danger of running out of cards, and I do think that this is legitimate, but because it's outside of what I outlined for what we were going to do, it just seemed reasonable to say this isn't exactly what this wasn't someone working before. This is someone who had a job to go to and then couldn't. That was the only reason. But I appreciate the feedback, and Rich and I will handle it. Thank you.
Yes, I agree.
Oops. All right. We have a couple of liquor licenses to approve. How are we going to get those signed, Sue, is my question when I was looking at those. Are we going to have to come in and have...
You're going to have to come in one at a time, or
Okay.
I'm going to hang it on the front door and you can sign it. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
What we're doing, there's more tape on the front door of this building right now than you can shake a stick at, just because that's how we've been getting things to people. But
So if these get approved, folks, I'm going to need everybody to go in over the course of the next week or so. We will have a...
Everybody's at some time. I will be around for a couple hours in the office tomorrow morning, and then when nobody else is around because the office is closed. And then obviously I'll be in the office Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of next week. So, but I know that the Warrens are looking to get their license back fairly quickly. So if people could either tomorrow morning or sometime Monday find a minute to stop by and, I mean, I can take this on the road and you can and bring it to you, but it
Well, we have to have a public hearing on this to begin with, correct? Or is this just an approval? This is approval, correct?
I believe so.
Yes,
This isn't a public hearing, it's just an approval.
no, yeah.
Correct. So I'll take action if anybody wants to make a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Can I ask,
Second,
is there any way that we as the council can relinquish this signing over to just Peter so that it gets taken care of and is expedient?
I looked, Jim. I didn't see anything on the form itself. I think it has to be signed by at least 4.
at least 4, yes.
4.
I
Yes.
can go in
So
tomorrow.
if I can go in tomorrow. Let's approve these first, and then we'll figure out who's going to sign it, if that's okay.
Mhm.
I have a motion from Dan and a second from Ed, I believe.
Nope, but I can
I
give you.
did,
Kathy.
I did,
Second from Kathy.
yeah.
All right. Is there any discussion on the approval of the license for Warren's Restaurant for a liquor license?
Nope.
Sue, you want to take the roll call?
Kathy Downs,
Approve,
Mark Eastman,
Approve.
Paul Bissonnette,
Approve.
Dan Ormsby,
Approve.
Jim Morrison,
Approve.
Ed Rankin,
Approved.
Peter Stewart.
Approve. All right. So I can go in tomorrow? Who?
I can go in. I'm in town.
I'm
Danny,
in
Mark,
town.
and Paul. So that the 4 or 5 of us will be in tomorrow. So what time?
Yeah.
Well,
What-
Dan and I do meal deliveries on Friday, and I have to be up at the thing. So I'll be in the office at 9 o'clock. Is that too late?
Okay,
Nope.
Is 9 all right?
9 o'clock.
I'm fine.
9, yes.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
So that was the first one. The second one, we have a liquor license application from Glenn's Place. How would the council like to go?
Make a motion to approve.
Second,
We have a motion from Danny and a second from Kathy. Any discussion on this one? Roll call, Sue, please.
Kathy Downs,
approve,
Mark Eastman,
Approve.
Paul Bissonnette,
Approve.
Dan Ormsby,
Approve.
Jim Morrison,
Approve.
Ed Rankin,
Approve.
Peter Stewart.
Approve. And again, I think the same 4 or 5 of us can sign that tomorrow at the same time. Thank you, everybody.
May I ask a question? You said that the Warrens were in a rush to get this taken care of. What purpose is their liquor license at this point? They're not serving liquor at curbside, are they? Or I don't
No,
understand.
They're not serving at all. No,
What?
Mrs. Warren, when she contacted us, because it expires at the end of next month, wants to get it into the state so that it can be ready to go for when the
Okay, thank you.
All set?
Yeah.
All right. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Item 13 is discussion items not on the agenda. Did we have anything? You have one thing from the public, Sue, I know?
I do. Hold on just a minute. From Nancy Minot, and she said, I am Nancy Minot, citizen of Bucksport, Maine. Thank you to the council for all you are doing to keep our town safe and well of our community during these challenging days. Thank you for this opportunity to share updates from 2 community organizations that I volunteer with. First, the Buck Memorial Library, and secondly, Bucksport Heart and Soul Stewardship Group. Buck Memorial Library, 2 noteworthy items from the Buck Memorial trustees. One, Buck Memorial Library may be closed right now due to COVID-19, but behind closed doors, the library is preparing for an exciting addition. We have begun phase 1 of adding interlibrary loans to our library community. Phase 1 involves weeding our entire collection rigorously to keep the collection vital, relevant, and useful. We will keep you posted as this exciting addition progresses. Number 2, over the next 8 weeks, the library is offering a children's program titled Kids Create. Each week's topic for creation will be posted on the Buck Memorial Library's Facebook page. We're inviting you to send photos of the week's creation you have been working on while sheltering in place to our Facebook page comment. Each entry will be placed in a hat. At the end of each week, we will draw a name and will send a $25 gift certificate to Bookstacks. Details will be available on our Facebook page. Bucksport Heart and Soul. Voices of Bucksport. Today was the 31st in a series of videos Bucksport Heart and Soul will be posting on our Facebook page. Each will feature people of our community answering the question, what matters most to you during these days? Check out our Facebook page and listen to the voices of Bucksport. What matters most is your voice, sharing what matters most to you during these days. Send an email to bucksportheartandsoul@gmail.com, and we will set up a time to record what matters most to you, or you may record a video yourself and send it as an email attachment. That is from Nancy Minot. Steve St. Peter had sent one earlier that said Mill Street needs a lot of work and fix the drainage on Mill Street. And you've already seen the one from Ron Russell, which I was going to read as well, which is the Bucks thing. As organizations and groups of community volunteers, we have worked very hard to help revitalize our town after the instant loss of our largest employer, an 80-plus-year-old paper mill, in December of 2014. Since that time, through the work of Main Street Bucksport, a local heart and soul group through the Orton Family Foundation, forming your heart and soul team.pdf, a volunteer economic development committee, Bucksport Next, the Bucksport Bay Area Chamber of Commerce, our progressive, forward-thinking local town government, and lots of others, we have helped nurture a renewed spirit in our town and help attract new businesses and economic activity after the closing of the mill. Many of the members of these groups and others want to help during these challenging times before us. There are plenty of needs, and one group that we are particularly worried about are non-essential small businesses, new and old, and our local food bank, all of whom may be having a hard time. So an independent group of citizens have pledged $4,000 in personal donations to begin the Bucks Fund and subsequent Bucks program. The idea is simple. The Bucks Fund will accept additional personal, non-tax deductible donations to add to the $4,000 already pledged, and then use those funds to help a list of non-essential town businesses and the local food bank that have agreed and volunteered to participate in the program, and will then offer their goods and services or gift certificates through the use of Bucks. Bucks will be sold for $10 each. The money will be added to the Bucks Fund. Then the purchasers of the Bucks can use them at any of the participating businesses for a 2-for-1, $20 instead of the $10 they paid for goods, services, or gift certificates from those participating businesses. For an example, use a $10 Bucks Buck at a local Bucksport restaurant, presently take out for a $10 meal, and get a second $10 worth of food with your $10 Bucks. It's so hard to say that over and over. Same with a service or gift certificate. Then the Bucksport business turns in their redeemed Bucks to the Bucks Fund administrator for $20 for each one, and the business is whole. It's a great deal for the buyers of Bucks. It spurs economic activity to our most hard-hit businesses and gives those who have been less affected economically by the challenges of COVID-19 to spread their donation around town to businesses and consumers who could use a good deal during these challenging times. In the case of our food bank, if they decide to participate, there would be no exchange of goods or services, but it would double the amount you paid for the Bucks that you donate or give to them. It's a way to put a very real gift match to an essential town organization at a level attainable to many. There would be limitations on purchases of Bucks to individuals and the number sold in total not to exceed the Bucks fund. A couple of quick clarifying notes on this effort. While many of us involved in getting this started are members of a number of the nonprofit groups around town, that the impetus and strong support for this started in discussions at Main Street Bucksport and is now also strongly supported by Bucksport Heart and Soul, Bucksport Next, the Greater Bucksport Bay Area Chamber of Commerce, and other nonprofit groups in town. It is clear that this effort cannot be administered by Main Street Bucksport or any other nonprofit in town because it involves for-profit businesses and the effort could jeopardize their nonprofit status. That is why the donations anyone makes to the fund will be non-tax deductible. The administration of the fund will be done through an account and in cooperation with our local Bangor Savings Bank branch. We hope this effort only adds to the work already done through the efforts of the town and the very generous gift from the Silvernails. This will give others a chance to show their buck pride by contributing to the Bucks Fund, by buying a Bucks or doing both. You've seen the signs, Bucksport Strong, and heard the talk of we're in this together. Let's show the world there's no better place to be than from here. Be safe. Ron Russell.
And I didn't have a chance to open the PDF, but I assume it gives directions on how to donate and if folks want to donate.
I believe so. This is the rollout of the program is going to contain all of that information.
Okay. All right. And do we have anything else from outside of the council for discussion items?
The only other email I got is another request for the pool document.
Okay.
So.
All right. Council discussion not on the agenda. Go around the room. Mark?
No, I don't have anything, Peter.
Kathy?
I have nothing.
Paul?
Just a couple of things. I just really want to commend the town manager, Rich, really anybody at this point that's working for the town on the work that they're doing. Sue has outlined how many gift cards, et cetera, have been given out. Rich has done a good job keeping us apprised on the work that he's doing as well. But even when you consider whether it's the road crews who had a nice little surprise there a little over a week ago, dropped on them in the middle of this, or our fire department, police department, ambulance crews, EMTs, dispatchers, anybody. I just want to commend them on the job they're doing. I'm very proud to be from Bucksport. I think one of the things that, and it's this letter that, with the tongue twister of Bucks, I kept wanting to say how many dinners would a Bucks buy if a buck? Never mind. What I really want to say is, I think the effort that we've put forth in terms of helping citizens in the community is inspiring more efforts like that, and I think that is very, very good. And I'll leave it there. I'm just very proud to be from Bucksport, and well done to all.
Thanks. Danny?
I just wanted to compliment Heart and Soul with the videos that they've been putting out. I think those are awesome. I went through them and was watching them the other day, and I'm going to be putting one together here at some point, and once I can figure out how to get a file size that big through an email or contact them. But I enjoyed those. I thought that was really neat to have different voices from the community just putting it out there. So thank you to Heart and Soul for that.
Absolutely. Jimmy?
Got nothing.
Ed?
Just a couple comments. I talked to I got a bunch of phone calls and texts from public safety, and I talked with Chief Gagan, and I just told them that I would acknowledge it, that a lot of them didn't like the comment at the end of the last meeting regarding the EMS. I just want them to understand that they are supported by the town, and I won't speak for the whole council, but for myself, I support them fully and appreciate everything they're doing, as well as the leadership that Sue has done in taking this on. I don't think she was real excited about everything that's been put upon her, but she's done a great job. And Rich has just done amazing work, well above and beyond what we pay him for. In regards to the email we got from Doug Knobloch today, I spoke with Doug, and he does have a very good point that this is unprecedented times, and there is no, you want to call it a rule book to play by here for pandemic. I think everyone of the council has the best interests of the people of the town and the town itself at heart. We have, disagreements as we go, but that's the beauty of having a council in politics, is sometimes it's ugly. It's not always pretty, but that's the great part about it, is you get different opposing opinions. And I would just like to, any grievance anyone has, either we just talk about it or throw it behind us and move forward and move on. That's it, Peter. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. I think I said this a while back, and I think I made a joke that, we could have just done video email town council meetings if we all agreed on everything that we did, and we did that. Well, crap, here we are. I can't personally wait till we all get back in the same room. You have better conversation. You have a better chance to have a meeting. Things can get hashed out and talked about. I will never begrudge anybody for saying anything. That's what we're here for. I just ask that we do, and we have. If we have a comment or a suggestion, let's talk about it. Like I said in my email earlier today, everybody here, including the 7 folks on the council and the dozens of employees for the town and the folks that are in the town, are all here trying to do the right thing. These are unprecedented times, and we're all sitting here trying to figure it out as we go. And I said this 6 years ago when I got elected the first time. I am going to make mistakes, and we're going to try to, and we're going to do the best that we can. And if we don't make mistakes and learn from those, then bad on us. I think we're all learning as we go on how to do, again, this is a new way of doing business. And I honestly think that if we take a second, we think about, looking at 7 different talking heads on a computer screen, is who thought we would have been here 6 months ago. I think we would have, I think all of us would rather be in the same room together, being able to talk about things. And I think we'd be in a lot better place. Every time we meet, we seem to be able to get things done a lot better. We will get through this. There's no doubt in my mind. The strength of this town is the strength of this town. And the folks, with the emails that we get, the conversations that I think that we all have, I think there is nobody out there that doesn't think we're at least trying to do the right thing. And I will say this again, I will match this town up against any town in the state. Folks, we are open. We want folks to come here, and I think what they see what we're doing, the way that the town is being led by everybody, can only open it up and move us forward going down the road. So I want to thank everybody on the council. I want to thank all the townsfolk. I want to thank Sue and Rich again for that. The chiefs, the deputy chiefs, the department heads, and the counselors. Again, keep us on point and make sure that we're doing the business of the town, and that's where we should focus our efforts is going forward. And Danny, keep bringing your cat. So, with that, is there anything else? All right, thank you all. Committee, public hearings, committees. So we will have a meeting next week, Sue, next Thursday?
Next Thursday. Is 6 too early, or do you want to wait till 7? Would be, at this point, a 2-item meeting, or what was discussed was a 2-item meeting. The paving bids and
The wall,
The pool.
the wall.
the pool,
No, the wall wasn't. It was
the pool, the pool.
the pool and the paving.
Is everybody,
Putting out to bid.
is everybody okay with doing the 6 o'clock to discuss the RFP on the
Yeah.
paving and look at the pool bids?
Yes.
Sure.
And I don't think that there will be anything else that needs to be on the agenda. And then we will schedule our next meeting will be on the 7th
May 7th.
at 7 is what we're looking at.
That's correct.
And if anything pops up, we can discuss it next week. All right.
All right.
One quick question, Sue. Sorry.
Yep.
Oh, wait, never mind. You guys answered it. I checked it off. I got it. Sorry.
You all set?
Yep, I'm all set. Thank you.
Anything else before we sign off from our second go around of this? Hey, we're getting better. I always shut my computer off 3 times. So. All right. I'll take a motion for adjournment.
Make a motion.
So
Motion to
moved.
adjourn.
We have
Second.
a motion from Danny, a second from Kathy. I just go around the room. Mark,
Yep.
Kathy,
Approve.
Paul,
Approve.
Danny,
Approved.
Jim,
Approved.
Ed,
Approve.
and Peter approves. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night. We are adjourned.
Have a good night.